All right, guys, very, very excited to present this to you today. I have been behind the scenes working on my new book. And what I wanted to do today is tell you what's going to be inside the book that's going to be released in the year 2026. Hopefully, if I get my head on my butt and get this thing done. But writing a book is it's not an easy thing to do, and I'm putting a lot into this one. I've written books on marketing and books on sales, but this is going to be my first book on basically just what's a profitable model to run a successful gym. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is basically the book is outlined into 4 components. The first component is the you component, and if you're watching this and you own a gym, you are the most important person in your business. And so the first thing about this is changing and transforming the way that you think. And a lot of people come and they own a gym and they think like a trainer, and essentially what you really need to do is transplant your brain and take your trainer brain out and put your business owner brain in, and that's the brain that you're going to need to have success in business, right? So that's the first piece of it, is how we're thinking about this business thing. The second piece of it is your productivity. How do you get stuff done, and what stage of your business that you're actually working on certain areas of the business. So I'll present this concept called the 4 stages of fitness business, and kind of show you where you're at and what you need to focus on at each stage of the business. So whether you're just starting out or whether you're scaling right now, you'll be able to see what are the things that you need to be focused on in each of those stages. And then the final piece is your leadership. That's going to tweak and change also, is how you're leading yourself and how you're leading your team at certain stages. So that's kind of the first piece, is like getting the you together. If you're a mess, if your mind's a mess, if your productivity is a mess, if your leadership is vomiting all over people all the time and your staff hates you, it's going to be really hard to have a successful business. So that's why this is kind of the middle of the triangle. Is like we can have all these other pieces together, but if we don't have the you piece together, and that's often, Tony Robbins has a line, is like the number one chokehold on a business is the psychology of the owner or the mindset of the owner. We don't have this together, it's really hard to get the other things in place. Okay, so that was kind of the first section of the book, but it's called, the title of the book, I'm not totally finished with the actual title. A lot of times that's what I spend the most time on, is what the exact title, but the title right now is called The Ultimate Playbook for an insanely successful, insanely profitable gym. That's the proposed title right now. Likely will change. But this, the word playbook I'm really excited about. And so I played college football. Football's been a big piece of my life for many, many years. And so what I've kind of created is this theme of creating these 3 different units of business, right? And so in football, you have the offense, you have defense, and you have special teams. 3 separate units. Each of those units are important. The offense is very important for scoring points. The defense is very important for preventing points. And then the special teams is important for not making big, stupid mistakes that allow catastrophic things to happen to a business. You've seen like the blocked kick or the missed field goal, deadly to a business. But not a lot of people pay attention to that side of the business. So there's the offense, which is right here. The offense, I call it the getting clients unit. This is where you're going to look at the 3 areas of your business of lead generation, nurture, like nurturing those leads, and then conversion, right? Those are kind of the 3 different sections of this offensive unit. But this is like a separate unit of your business. You have to look at this as a whole separate thing. And there's certain times in your business that you might really need to focus on this. There's other times of business you might need to focus on other areas, but the point of the book is really to look at, all right, there's you, and then there's these 3 different units, the offense, the defense, and the special teams that needs your focus, okay? So the second unit is the defensive unit, and this is your retention plan. And this is broken up into your team, the actual service that you deliver, your training, right? That's got to be good. I call it, in restaurants, it's the food, right? But it's the product that you're delivering out on there. And then the final thing is how you're taking care of the customers, right? What in terms of your systems and your people, is how you're taking care of the customers that's going to give you a good defense, because there's a lot of gyms out there that have done a good job of creating good offense, and they do the 6-week challenge and they flood their gym, but then they can't keep people. Right? And so this is probably one of the biggest X factors of the whole thing. You have a good defense and you have a good retention. That's going to be a really powerful thing. And the last thing is the special teams. This is what I call the profit plan. Okay, this is how we're going to actually plan and strategize how we're going to get what we want. So there's 3 big components to this: is money math, knowing your numbers. I can't stress enough how important business success is with knowing your numbers. You got to know this stuff, right? And I've told many different stories on many different videos about my story about how some lady, I didn't know my numbers, and she was in this big meeting and she walked out dramatically, says, "You don't know your numbers, Vince, I can't help you." And it was just like this crazy, horrible thing that haunts me forever. And so you have to do this money math thing. You got to understand what the most important numbers of your business, because that's the reality. That's the reality. That's what's real. If we run our business on emotion, it's going to be a really painful ride. So we got to look at what's real, what's really happening, and that is the data, that is the numbers. The second thing is your vision, and clearly defining where we want to go long term and short term. And then the strategy side of it is what's the plan and how we're going to get there. So this is the outline. This is the outline for a gym, a successful gym. It's the outline that I've used for the last 18 years of running my own business. But more importantly, in the last decade, I've been helping gym owners from all around the world, pretty much taking I sat down and be like, what have I done to help get people successful? What have I done to help my own gym have success? And this is the recipe. This is the guide. Took all the things that I used to have success and have boiled it down to how to run an insanely profitable gym. Book coming 2026. This is the outline. You heard it here. Hopefully it gets released in 2026.